Alright, so I thought that it would be valuable to board some problem rooms, kind of teach people how to do them. We're gonna start with ball and chain. Ball and chain, there's kind of three main strats you can use. So here, if this guy's in your way, just kill him. And then you want to grab this pot from the right, throw it, come back, grab this pot. The reason you want to grab the first pot from the right is so that the ball and chain spawns sooner. So if you grab it here, he'll spawn, but if you grab it here, like I can stand here, and he's not spawned, so he's not going to walk into the screen. So you actually want to spawn him earlier. Even though you're taking kind of a suboptimal path, you're going to have him be there, like right in front of the jail cell, instead of, like if you spawn him later, he's all the way over here. So you'll have to walk with the pot more. So that's the 2-pot, that's the safest one, and also the slowest. This is the 1-pot. You want to throw the pot, and then walk. Slash him 4 times. There's a faster way to do this. But if the guard's coming after you, then there's not really much you can do other than slash. So the advantage here for the 1-pot is you can do something like that now. So if you don't spawn him early, you can open spin and get 2 hits for free. But it's a little faster if you just spawn him early. Hit him like that, and then just slash him. Alright, and then the fastest one is called 8/. So, if you hit ball and chain at the wrong time, your sword will take off of him. So what you want to do to combat against that is to like hold the sword button until the game makes you put the sword away. Like, if you look at my inputs, see right there, I tinked off of him, but since I still had the sword out, now it'll go back to the resting position, and it'll hit him. So, you can stand pretty close to him. Like, you can see his feet are basically between Link's ears, and I'm not taking any damage. A lot of the hitboxes in this game are a lot smaller than what the sprites make them look like, so it is, it's beneficial to you to stand closer to things, because if I'm, like, all the way back here, I have a bigger chance to take off of him. So, if you can't get this 8/ to work, the 1-pot isn't that much slow. I think this is the faster one. So, when you poke him and spin him like that, then I don't think that spin can be knocked away by the ball and chain. So yeah. So that's ball and chain. Pick whichever strat you can do the most consistent. A lot of solving problem rooms is working on consistency, and you should definitely do something that you're consistent with over things that are faster. Unless you're losing an absolute monster amount of time. Okay, Stalfos room in Eastern. So you're pretty often gonna have a bow in Eastern. First, I'm gonna show you the bowless strat. So you want to walk up here. So grab this pot, and then you're gonna walk over to this skull, and you're gonna go to the right. The reason I'm standing exactly here is because 4 skeletons will spawn in this room, depending on where you cross the thing from. So 4 skeletons usually spawn in this room. However, if I do this way, one will spawn in the top wall, and one will try to spawn in this pot. So you get 2 skeleton kills for free, like that. This is if you're in here without a bow or a rod of some sort. But if you do have a bow or a rod, you want to go on like the top half of this little diamond tile here. Do left, down, right, or whatever you want. Get out of the room. This is a lot faster. Fire rod is the fastest way to do this strat, but you can use ice rod. It's basically any ranged weapon that you can kill a Stalfos with. So the way this room works is that there's a box, like approximately like on this line, and I think it's this line in the upper portion of the room. So this like 4x4 box here. This one right here. That's the box that if Link enters it, then he'll spawn the Stalfos. So you can kind of manipulate where we're going to be just by doing your room correctly. Like, coming up here, I'm not going to spawn any of these guys, but as soon as I shoot them, they're still there, they're just not going to appear. So that's that room. So for big key, so what you want to do here is you actually want to kind of nudge against this pipe. Nudging against things is usually not good, but this will expand your pixel window. So you want to nudge against the pipe, and then you want to upright into the popo. And then use your iframes to go grab the pot. Stand on the button until the chest appears, because you won't ever hit the button when you're in iframes, but as soon as, on the first frame that it's available, as long as you're standing on the button, it'll spawn the chest before it knocks you off. And no matter which boost you end up getting from this guy, you can pretty much recover it in time. Now, if you're low on health, these 2 pots have hearts underneath them. And then you can just get these hearts, and then you can do the backup, which is just the same thing except you're going against the stairs here. So you can just ignore the popo entirely. And just do this way. I don't really like this one, because it seems like I get boosted in weird ways sometimes. Like, sometimes I get boosted down. But, again, do what's more consistent for you. If you only want to learn one way to do this, then I suggest the top one on the stairs in case you ever need, like, a heart. And you can go grab it, do your damage boost, and get your item. Armos, you see some people still haven't learned this, so what I do I'll walk in here, line up on this guy, and then stand on this bubble. Don't stand any further back than this, because we'll see when they start moving here. Got close to it. Yeah, there we go. So you can see the top center Armos is barely missing me like this. And as long as you anticipate you're going to get a shot off and the top right is not going to hit you. So, kind of look like this. One, two, all that select buffering threw me off. Well, you wanna kill them in order, basically. So 5 to the right. Make sure it's not more than 5, or you mess up the whole thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then beeline up to here, and then I have Link's shadow overlapping this line right here. I have the right side of Link's shadow just following that line down and doing this. As you get better at, like, you can go all the way to the top of the room here, and it shouldn't affect much, except it'll be slower. And as you get better at this strat, you'll be able to sit in tighter and tighter windows, because you won't be as scared of the fight. Like, you can get hilariously close. Almost too fast. But yeah, there's Armos. I don't really want to turn my camera on, so I'm not going to talk about spin speeds. There are other videos out there that can talk about that. I'm gonna mostly just talk about desert. Yeah, there's not actually much. I guess we can do this room. So this room can really get away from you if you're not paying attention. So you just want to walk left out of the door and then dash turn down before you're gonna bonk off that statue. It's a pretty big window. And then you cancel when you get to the bottom here, and then you have to wait 3 frames to get your sword back. Like, you can see I'm trying to like mash there, and it's not working. So kind of wanna be a little less mashy. Just try to time the slash. Now, this is always going to go the same way regardless of RNG, because you kill them fast enough that they're not allowed to move. So basically what you have to do here is just read these other 2 and see which ones are closest to the door or not closest to the door. If you're ever in here without boots, then you just kind of kill stuff and survive. But this is the way to do it. So always kill the one that's farther away from the door first. Of the 2 right ones, always kill the one that's farther away from the door first, just because you'll be in a better position to get through the door. Sometimes it's just a convenience thing, and sometimes it doesn't really matter what choice you make. RNG gets you in the end, so. If you have a bow, I recommend using the bow. Hookshot is fine too. Hookshot is fine to use too. The only reason you're doing this is if the top right one goes toward the middle. Otherwise, just use your sword. And then instead of dashing upwards there, you can shoot an arrow if they're about the same time. So the ranged weapon is just to cover for this popo going over this way. Then when you do this slash, you'll just walk over, shoot up, and then chase this one where he went. I don't feel like resetting a bajillion times to show that RNG, and that might flow it anyway. Okay. Sorry, I was reading something. So Hera has a few problem rooms. No, we never want to go to Hera basement, but this is the right way to do it with Lamp. Well. Kind of wait until my diagonal is clear of this torch, and then light that one, dash over, light those two. Hopefully that works for you. You have Fire Rod. Fire Rod's pretty easy. Walk over here, Fire Rod down, over here, Fire Rod down, and then you always, if you're using Fire Rod, you always want to get this full magic right here. If you're using Lamp, it doesn't really matter. For Herapot, still see people who don't know it, so we'll go through it. You're gonna come up here. I would recommend killing this guy because he can mess up the clip. But sometimes that's not really economical when you're trying to go fast. So we're hoping that he just comes down here and doesn't get in our way. All right, so you have to have bombs out here. What you want to do is line up against this tile. And then you want to go straight down. You're going to place the bomb right here. And then you're going to go into this corner, release your spin, go right, slash your sword, and then back up into the bomb blast. And then that should put you 1 pixel into the pot. Like this. I'm 1 pixel into the pot right now. So this is the most important part. You have to hookshot here, tap left, and fall down the hole. Okay. If you don't tap left after you hookshot, you're going to soft lock like this. And you can see none of my things are working. You can't even mirror out of here. You have to save and quit and reclimb the mountain. So I recommend not doing that and just remembering to tap left. Bomb jumps. What you want to do for bomb jumps, so you see this pit right here? Like, I have to get on a certain pixel for the bomb jump to work. The way that I do that, charge a spin, back up toward the pit until Link starts kicking his feet, and then release the spin and hold away from the pit. And this will always get you on the last pixel before Link starts falling. And that's perfect for bomb jumps. Another thing you can do is just do an item dash. Any item will work. Just as soon as you hit the pit, it will stop you. Just hold away from the pit. This is harder for me to hit than the spin, because you can't hold the thing for too long. It's easier to do with an item like the hammer that has a cutscene afterwards. So like that. But you can technically do it with any item that's not the hook shot. I guess I can go through Moldorm. So Moldorm will always make 5 movements and then charge Link. So you want to kind of take the first part of this fight slow-ish. Be opportunistic about when you get hits. But you want to watch for those times that he charges Link. Charge there. Or, never mind, that was the charge. That's the charge. And you can see he's making these little curly Q movements. Sometimes he gets interrupted by the pit, but it still counts as a movement. And every 5th movement goes to Link. And you'll know, because he'll just go straight at Link instead of kind of what he's doing now, just kind of bouncing all around. So this is valuable to know if you... And, like, you'll always know where his rattle is going to be, because his head is just there, so you can put yourself in good positions. Another thing you can do, if you have the hook shots, you just hold your sword out and charge a spin, and then as soon as he does that charge, do your hook shot, and then you'll be in iframes, and then you'll always be able to get a perfect hit. Charge me, shot, and let go. Hook shot, and let go. Don't stand too close to him if you're going to do this, because he might take a curl that you don't expect. Like, he might start going at you, but it's not actually a charge attack. So, yeah, and then, so if you're here on Fighter Sword, there's obviously going to be an enraged phase. Like this, what you want to do is hold your sword out. If you have boots, you can just dash at him, and as long as you dash left to right or right to left, there's not really a huge chance that he's going to be able to hit you. There is 1 pixel that he can frame roll you on. So, otherwise, you just want to follow him wherever he goes, and then just kind of pick your opportunity. And if you're locked out of moving, like if you're in a falling animation, you just release your spin and it'll hit him. Agate Tower. So, I can tell none of y'all practice this dungeon, because you never technically want to go there. Let's just do normal bow for now. Yeah, that's fine. Too. But for these guys, the correct strat with Master Sword is to spin, shoot, walk down, shoot, sword beam, spin, spin. And you're out of the room. You won't always have Master Sword here, but you will, I hazard a guess, about half the time. There's a strat where you don't use sword beams, so just in case you're not in here on full, it's kind of the same as the beam strat. You have to walk down before you do this to bait this other guard down. It's hard to show the arrow when I have sword beams, but I don't really want to decrease my health right now. And then, if you don't want to do fancy stuff, stand here, charge your sword. Wait till these guys' feet touch, double spin, get out of the room. So that's about 3 seconds slower than using arrows. You can also just do that. It's a bit slower than the regular strat, and it costs 8 arrows, which is not nothing. If hammer, you can just try not to hammer up, but you can just kind of get in their face at the cost of some health. The easiest way is to just burn them. If you have silvers, you can just do much the same thing and get out of the room. So here, see a lot of people want to go up here, and that's not good, because now you have to go all the way over here, and then you have to go down, you have to backtrack this way, and that guy's going to get in your way, or you can just go down. Always dash to get rid of that bat. But, just dash here and then walk it out. You're only dashing here. It's not... I mean, it is a bit faster, but you're not dashing for speed there. You're dashing so that you poke this guy. So, if you really want to do try-hard stuff, you can save, I don't know, 30 frames by dashing optimally in that room. But... I mean, the way that I just did it wasn't exactly optimal, but it didn't lose that much. Maybe a handful of frames. Melancholy. So, what you're looking for is this guard. If he goes right like this, you can just ignore him. But if he's in your way, you just knock him out of the way and continue on. If you're ever in this room doing it dark with the fire rod, this is the hardest dark room by far. What you want to do, you want to have your sword out here, because you don't want to aggro the guard by slashing. He'll aggro. So you'll have your sword out here when you go through the door. Go all the way up until you stop. And then you go down about a tile, and then over. And you have a 1 tile wide target here. And this torch lights the next room also. But if you have lamp, read that guy's RNG, get out of the way if you need to, get out of the room. And then here, for the bow guard, if you have Master Sword, when you dash through here, what you want to do is kind of keep your sword out and poke him before you kill him. And then you can line up on that wall for a key dash. You can also line up 4 pixels above that wall, still get the key dash, but it's a little less RNG dependent because you're gonna alert the guards if you have sword beams. So for the spear guards, you're almost always going to want to use arrows for this. And, you know, you can just chase them. Like, this is the fancy strat. You'll definitely want to use, like, either arrows, fire rod, like, whatever you've got. Don't want to be fancy about it. Same deal with the guards in the next room. Wanna slash, tink your sword to alert them, and like slow them down. If you have fire rod, you should probably use that. You can grab that key with the boomerang, or you can also grab it if it's still in the air with your hook shot. And you want hook shot for pretty much the rest of the dungeon anyway. So I would say use hook shot, but if you don't have it, you can use boomerang. And if you don't have either, what are you doing with your life? Okay, that's that dungeon. Here... You want to cancel downwards here. And line up against the wall. Now, very important here, you want to walk that. Dashing is not faster. But if you don't have a mirror, this is how you backtrack out of here. Go here, hit the switch, avoid the guy, and then you need to hug this left wall, and then you need to hug the bottom wall. Because you don't want to step on this switch again. Switch lag is very slow. You kind of always want to open the center door. But if you don't get a small key in the first chest, it's fastest to just open the statue, get that guy out of the way. So, oftentimes you'll see people do something like this. Oops. It kind of launches them upwards. That's kind of slow, because you lose control of Link. So, I'm just going to push this statue. 533. Now, the launch, 556. So you're losing like 20 frames, even though it looks cool. Just a point about statues that's going to come up here in a second. You push a statue faster if you're holding a diagonal. So when you're pushing statues, you should always be alternating between diagonals. So just watch my inputs. I don't really want to go over hammer jump because it's not that important. Yes, mimics, we can go through a few strats. So, sometimes people will just get rid of the greens. And then they'll kill the red mimics. This is more applicable to NMG speedrun, because what you're trying to do with this strat is manipulate, or have the best chance at the 10-pack to spawn in the middle there, and then you can dash. See, I don't like strats that require shooting the guy above you twice. So what I do here is I'll shoot here. I'll shoot up and then left and then right and then up, because by shooting up and then facing to the left, you're gonna walk this guy into the arrow, and then as soon as it hits, you can fire another one. Like that. You need to make sure that you're clear of the door, but you're not too high that you're gonna miss the green guys. And yeah, be careful not to do that. You can face the red guy if he's in iframes, but not if he's not in iframes yet. That's that room. You can do that in the other mimic room as well. And like I said, there's like, you can do like something like that. Key to making this room fast is to keep holding the direction button, and like while Link's frozen in an animation, he'll the mimic will still go. I'm trash at this strat, by the way, so that's why I'm not being very successful at it. It is the fastest, but like it's kind of dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. Turtle room. So what you want to do, no matter what your equipment is in turtle room, you're gonna have your sword out here. You're gonna dash through there. So you're gonna walk down, nudge to the left, and then hammer. So hammer, hammer, spin, smash, smash. And that's what you hope to see. If you're off by a little bit, then the turtles will turn back over. Now sometimes you get this terrible RNG, where the turtle just goes down and avoids you. Just pretend that he doesn't exist until you kill the ones that you've already flipped over. And then just go kill him. If you have tempered or gold sword, you can actually just dash through these guys and it'll put you pretty close to the door. So you always want to kill the ones that you flipped over first, because you have to flip that guy over again anyway. So, and if you take an extra hammer hit, you won't have enough time to go up and get the ones you've already flipped over, so that just wastes time. Nudge left, hammer, hammer. What? Spin. Hammer that guy, and you're out. If you get that RNG, just kill the ones that you did flip over. You usually flip over 5 turtles like that. This is also a pretty easy thing to pull off in the dark, because your sword's out. And you can see when you nudge left, and there's like a pattern to it that you can usually at least get them flipped over, and you can kind of know where they are. I mean, it's not going to be perfect, but if you're doing this room fully in the dark, you're not really looking for perfection. Homosaur is kind of dangerous. On Green Mail, he does 2 hearts per hit. So what we do in NMG is we wait for him to back up, and then we go spin speed. If you have spin speed armed, then your hammer's hitbox is like permanently extended, kind of like you have your sword out, and it makes it easy to use hammer hits on this guy rather than something else like arrows, or having to tap yourself out of super speed, using your sword or something like that. If you get the second fireball shot, you can actually despawn them by just blowing up his mask. And some people will like intentionally hesitate on hit number 17 just to make sure he's not gonna fireball, and if he does, then you can just get rid of him. Some people like to toss 2 bombs and then hammer the mask off, but that robs you of the opportunity to despawn fireballs. Because at that point, you have to wait for him to stop his movement to pick which attack he's going to do, and you can get yourself in real trouble. Now, obviously, silver's 1 silver shot, 8 arrow shots. So if you get into trouble, health-wise, you can just stand back and try to shoot him. But this is the fast way to do it. If you can't do spin speed, hook speed also works to extend your hitbox, but you would have to menu to hook shot and then menu back to hammer for that. So I would recommend learning spin speed. Thieves Town. So this is how you get all the chests in Thieves Town. Go left from the door, jump off here, get that chest. Guess I can show this for pod too. The other dungeons are pretty straightforward. Alright, you want to hop off here, take this dash line all the way around. Reason being, you really don't save state was. So after this chest, what I see some people do is come down here, and then come around and up. You don't want to do that. It's like 3 seconds slower than not doing that. Run all the way around here. If you don't have boots, what you would do is walk down here, pop off that, and read where the zigzag's going to be. And you can go this way. So here's another point I wanted to make. I still see people coming over here and transitioning the room up here. This is bad for 2 reasons. A, because that's in the way, and B, even if you deal with this obstacle that's in the way, you have this bunny bean here that's going to hit you every single time. So always transition the screen in the bottom portion, and just do something like that. You can also just hold down right for this entire room, and you will never get hit by this bunny beam. Like, you can see my inputs, all I'm doing is holding down right, and I never get hit. Alright, so do this. And then it's pretty straightforward from here. Because the other 4 chests are pretty spread out, and there's only really one path to get all of them. I'm gonna go back and do this for pod, though. Because pod is a little wonky. So pod... You wanna always get the shooter chest first. Either mirror out if you have mirror, or you just have to walk out if you don't. If you get a small key, well, you're always going through this center door. If you get a small key, you just want to go up through this middle door. Be on bombs here. Bomb that open and grab this. If that is also a small key, you go over and do the big key chest. That's this one right there. If you do not get 2 small keys in the first 2 chests, you can just fall right down and do this. If you do get 2 small keys in the first 2 chests, you'll just do the big key chest and then you'll jump down here. Okay. At this point, you want to go to right side. You can bow this, you can PCU, you can mimic clip it, however you gotta do it. Yeah, for this room, all you really have to do is walk until you're, like, on this black line, and then you'll skip the spikes. You don't have to go very far at all. Get that. Get that. And at this point, if you don't have a hammer, you want to mirror out of here. If you do have a hammer, you want to hammer and jump down. And then hit the crystal switch and keep going. I don't have a hammer in my inventory. So back here, if this first chest, if the shooter chest is not exactly a small key, that means the rest of the items in pod are bow locked, because that means your keys have to be on right side here, and we already went through how to do that. So in that case, you would this is for bow locked pod, if you did not get a small key in the first chest. In that case, you would just go to these 2 right side chests, probably both small keys, but sometimes you get lucky. And then you would bomb this open, get this chest, go get the other chest, and then depending on if you have hammer, either mirror out, or die, or use your hammer to get down this ledge right here. So just imagine we've done everything on right side. So you would be coming out here. Actually, I'll just show this. So you just jump down off of here. You want to hit this switch so that it's blue. It's already blue, but by default it's red. And then you want to put bombs, dodge these guys, chuck the bomb at the crystal switch, and then kind of wait right here until the bomb hits it. And you definitely want to walk this because it's easier to see the patterns and avoid them when you're walking versus trying to dash. obviously dashing is faster, but it can knock things in weird ways. And like sometimes you go too fast and then you get juggled and nobody has a good time. Or sometimes you just get lucky and go fast. But this is usually fast enough for me. Okay. So yeah, if you are bow locked and you have both bow and hammer, that means you're also coming from this way. So hit your switch, and then you want to bonk right there. Get this chest, and then if you still need an item, so there are always well, there's not always 2 non-dungeon items in the front of pod. Sorry. There have to be 4 small keys in the first 6 chests. That would be shooter chest, bridge chest, big key chest, Stalfos chest, and the 2 on right side. There always has to be 4 keys among those 4 small keys among those 6 chests. So instead of counting small keys, though, I would rather count items like non-small keys, just because there's 2 of those, and I like counting to 2 better than counting to 4. So yeah, just keep track of your pod key logic. Now, there can be 5 or even 6 keys in the first 6 chests of pod, but it's fairly rare. I think it's like 12% for either of those to happen, and then like something stupid like 0.3% for 6 keys. So if you haven't found 2 non-small keys, after you bonk across and get the bridge chests, then you would go for the big key chest here and then jump down to Stalfos basement. Otherwise, you can just fall in. And then from here, you have the mirror if you have the mirror. If you don't have the mirror, why are you in here? I'm kidding. Sometimes it makes sense. You just warp. And then this will take you back to the hub room. So if you've already cleared everything, or for some reason you don't want to bonk across and get the bridge chest, and yeah, for some reason you don't want to bonk across, then and you have Samaria, you can do a pretty cool clip with it. It's called the Pog clip because only Pogs do it. So, you want to equip Samaria. Want to place the block immediately and then diagonal down to the pit. Press dash while you're pressing diagonal on the pit, and then hit the auto stairs. And if you're fast enough, the beetle should never get in the way. And you want this to be a dash turn up, and then you want to let go. Because when you're dashing against a pit and you're pressing a direction, it'll cancel your dash. So, very quickly, Samaria, diagonal down to the pit, start your dash, turn up, profit. Okay, I'm not gonna go over hammer jump, just because it'll take too long. That's better done with, like a race call with a mentor. What I will say is always blow this open and then always do this guy. And then just loot these chests. Between these 4 chests, the 2 dark basement chests, compass chest, and harmless hellway, between those 4 chests have to be the rest of your small keys. None of them can be on dark maze, and none of them can be on the boss. So if you had a 4 key front, that means 2 keys can be back here. And if you had a 5 key front, that means you're only looking for 1 key back here. And if for some reason you have a 6 key front, then you're just opening everything back here. The reason you need to keep track of that is so that you can skip harmless hellway. Because if you know it's a key, like you need a key to get there, so you might as well just save the key and a little bit of time and just come over here and use that key. And then from this door, you do Dark Maze top, Dark Maze bottom, and then the big chest. But if you know how to hammer jump, then you would do big chest, bottom, top. You should only really hammer jump if you already have the big key in hand when you're going past. Otherwise, just go to the turtle room. Skullwoods. This is a big sticking point for people. So this is how you want to do this room every single time. So mummy movements are not actually RNG. They focus in on Link, but they can only focus when they're at the end of a walk cycle. So I can tell you what direction the mummies are gonna go just based on where I'm standing. Like you see, he's following me around here. And then every time he's at the end of a walk cycle, he turns toward me, and then he chooses short, medium, or long. So you can use that knowledge to kind of manipulate their movements or predict where they're gonna go, and know when it's safe to grab this statue. This way, you don't have to waste magic. You can use those fire rod shots on Moth instead of wasting magic and maybe having to get this one here. The other important thing for this room is if these berries drop a prize, you want to try to keep it on your screen because that will stop the wall master from appearing. Due to sprite overload, since there's this sprite, this sprite, this spike, this sprite, and this sprite all on this screen, and these two are part of the same super tile. So you hit sprite overload just by having an item on the screen, so the wall master won't spawn. Yeah, so this room is really hard to get down. If you miss that guy on your first slash, then just throw the pot, and then sometimes these guys will just get in your way. If they do, just slash them away. And try to slash them away from the statue, because mummy and statue collision mechanics are bad. Like, you really don't want to have to deal with that. So, try to show why it's bad here. So, he can't actually get into me, but like, if I try to knock him away, I'm not going to be able to. See how he's stuck on the statue there. So, yeah, try to slash them pretty early. Like, make the decision to slash really early. There, I saw he did a short walk, so I did a slash down to keep him away from the statue. Mummy Hellway. Alright, so I'm gonna show two strats that are fairly fast. And then I'll show one without the boots, so shoot, dash up, shoot that guy, throw the pot at that guy, light the torches, light the last one, get out of the room. This is a very easy strat. It's called Joe Mummies, for Joe D'Amelio. Likes this strat. So, this is a pretty fast and harmless way to get out of the room. And, like, you don't really ever take damage there. Or you shouldn't, as long as you do the same things every time. Second one I'm going to show is called Sig for Mummies. This is a bit more of a try-hard strat, but it does save a decent chunk of time. So you want to dash until you're like right at this right wall. Shoot, dash up, and then close it out kind of the same way as Joe. And for swag, you can always just fire rod dash the room here. I'm just really bad at it. Kind of goes like that, but not really. Okay, so let's do this next room then. So, if you want to get the key from this guy, it's kind of slow to burn him, plus you want the magic for Moth anyway, so try and trap him against Spike. Spike does gold sword damage, you just need to hit him twice. Plus, he will always start out walking to the right like that. That's not, like, a crack hack thing. He always starts out walking to the right like that. He picks short, medium, or long, but as long as you're dashing from, like, make sure your shadow is maybe not completely clear of the door, but only overlapping a little bit. So if you dash from this position, you should be able to cover all 3 RNGs and not be super affected by it. And this works with any sword because you're not using your sword. You're only using your sword to knock him into the spike. So you can do this with fighter sword. You want to kind of get just very slightly above him and just kind of use your geometry to slash him the right way into the spikes. And then finally for Moth, as long as you don't hesitate here, you can't get 1.0'd by the hand. You just need to not be scared of it. See, 4 seconds, 24 frames does not give the hand enough time to spawn, no matter what part of the cycle it's on. So just don't hesitate in that room and you'll be fine. The only thing I'm going to say about Moth is don't spin when you have Tempered or Gold Sword. If you're in this fight on Fighter Sword, you don't want to use slashes for damage necessarily. You want to use it to turn off this beam attack. Because if Moth takes damage, then she won't do her beam attack. Oh, I remember why I turned it off. Okay. Rocking through here. Ice Palace. So, this first room is pretty straightforward. Just spawn that guy and kill him. There's a way that you can manipulate your spooky variable that we do in the speed run, so you can fire rod him from basically just way down there, and it'll work. But in rando, you probably won't be able to do that, so just walk up and hit him when he spawns. It's not that bad. This room, if you have sword beams, you definitely want to use them. If you have fire rod, like not bombos, but fire rod, you want to use them to get these guys out of the way. You can also just, like, if you don't have sword beams, you can just burn this guy. It's better than waiting for him to stop sparking. If you have hook shot, you can not only kill the berry with it, but you can also hook shot or boomerang the key afterwards. There's a lot of different strats to see there. That guy was gonna block me, he got in my way, so you just fire rod him and then get out of the room before the door opens again. he's not in my way, so I don't care. Because you don't want to let all of them have a death animation, or else the door opens. You should hookshot to that block, but if you don't have hookshot, whatever. Alright, so for this room, you want to just walk in. You want to place 2 bombs on this second square right here. Throw one to the left. Bait the pengators toward it, and then once the pengators start moving towards the bombs, like the ones, like watch the bottom ones here. Once they start moving toward those bombs, then you can make a beeline to the chest. Because if I do this too fast, they might turn down. Or, like, you just might not even hit one. So get that chest. I want to come in here. This is where you would do your icebreaker. Mostly your... I don't mostly see people go the wrong way in ice. There are just a few, like, problem rooms. So if you're doing Ice Palace Bomb Jump, you actually want to use sword beams to kill those guys, and then you want to take damage on the spike, and then line up against the spikes to get this dash line. Oh. And sometimes that'll happen, sometimes the key animation screws you. Damage off of these spikes. Just make sure if you damage off of these spikes that you're pressing up against those spikes and then dashing. Like you have to make sure you line up on the spikes. This is pixel perfect that you can line up for it. Always slash your sword before going into this room so you can do a pit setup. And then there are 2 pixels that work here. There are more, but I only really want to talk about 2. So there's 31, which is this one right here. This is the one you'll get at if you successfully go left and then use right to cancel your spin. But sometimes that doesn't happen, and you'll end up on this pixel, which is 30. They both have setups that can work. Just go with whatever one you land on, unless you're like my friend Nio, who's really stupidly good at 1-frame taps, because technically you can get back onto the right pixel if you do a 1-frame tap, but I wouldn't worry about that. So do your setup. So from 30, there's only 1 pixel that works. I think it's like 37 or something. Let me get down there. Oh, is this... Okay, yeah, he was just in a weird walking animation. So when Link is standing, I look for the floor pattern down left of his shadow to make like a Tetris S piece. And then that's how I know I'm on the right pixel. That will actually clip you into the right side of this pot, so you'll need to hold left after the jump. You'll get a few you'll get a second or two to buffer that input. So if you're here on 31, there's actually 2 pixels that work. So you can go to 37, that will still work. But you can also go to 38 and have it work. So there's your Tetris piece. And then this one, I just look for 2 sparkles southwest of Link's shadow. If you're not using shadow lineups, there's ways to use the sword to line it up as well, but you never know what sword you're going to have coming in here, or if you'll even have a sword, but you'll always have a shadow. And then this one blasts you to the left side of this pot. It'll let you slide off of this pot, so you don't need to step left if you get on that pixel. Ping lineup. Slash sword, and then wait till you get to... Oh. Wait till your shadow touches this vertical line that I'm on, and then this is where you switch to down left. Get all 5 of them. Now, you only see this room if you bomb jump, but you definitely need to be prepared for it. So this is a bit of a weird room. So people will like... There's like a stair clip you can do. Where you just spin and you clip through the stairs. But I'm terrible at it, so this is what I do. Hammer down, dash under the block, hammer up, slash on the stairs, and get out of the room. Down, dash, up, slash. Down, dash, up, slash. Hold stair. So there's obviously 2 ways to do this. Do the fire rod one first. The fire rod one is definitely faster. Basically, you just want to upright until you barely can shoot hold stair shell. And then you want to go up. You do need to have a bit of a rhythm for this, because if you're off, then that can happen. So I would practice this a bit before. I would practice this a good bit before putting it in a race. I do fancy stuff, but you don't have to. So you want to be holding up this entire time until you hit the wall, and then you want to immediately switch to upright in order to dodge this ice every time. Get the spin in, 6 slashes. With tempered at 6 slashes, it'll be a little more with Master Sword, but you can still stun lock him like that for the whole time. If you're on less than tempered sword, I would look at using some fire rod strats. Alright, and then for bombos, you activate bombos, slash 3 times, wait for the ice to fall, get out of the way, and then just finish out the fight like you did before. So with bombos, you wanna slash twice, and then you wanna, on the 3rd time, you wanna hold your sword out. So 1, 2, 3. Wait for the ice. Hit like I did there, but as long as you get a few good hits in, then be in a good spot to finish out the fight. Swamp. I mean, I don't really see much in Swamp that the average person would need to fix. Just get used to it. Get used to doing it, because you're gonna have to do it a lot. The Mire. We're gonna go through Mire 2 here. Optimally, you're gonna have sword beams. And that's how to do that. If you don't have sword beams, just replace them with fire rod shots. And then clean up. What you want to do for Mire 2 is focus on the Wizrobes. So do these two because they're convenient, but you want to focus on getting the Wizrobes down before you focus on the Popos. The reason being, the Popos are always going to be vulnerable versus the Wizrobes, which is not necessarily the case. If they disappear, you're going to lose 2 seconds waiting for them. None of these are really applicable here. So for this key, I know it's tempting hookshot, but if you hookshot to this key, it messes up your iframes. And you end up waiting on the button forever, so just walk to it. It's not that bad. And if you did it right, you'll only take 3 hits damage. So, if you're doing spooky, assuming that you have set it up, so what you're going to need to do here is kick up dust, and then while you're kicking up dust, you want to put the Samaria block. Like, you see how quick the dust animation is? You getting from A to Y has to be quick. It's probably too slow. If for some reason you don't have the boots in here, then you can also use an arrow or the ice rod to maintain your value. On menu to fire rod before this room. Just kind of shoot this guy as he goes past. That'll be your first switch hit. And then you want to slash that guy out of the way. And then you want to just be above this inner line here when you shoot. And then just gonna wait for it. You can start walking over here if you trust your shot. Your goal here, and what makes this work, is when you hit the anti-fairy and the pegs at the same time. So if you miss this shot, like say, oops, I missed, well, you can just hang out on this part of the room and just wait for the anti-fairy to hit the pegs again. And then if you mess it up again, there's always the bomb wall. So I would just do your shot, walk left until the switch flips, and then get out of the room. And for this one, this looks scary, but it's really not. So you can definitely beat that spike even if you're a little slow on it. But if you super don't like that, then just go up and around if you're really scared of the spike. It only costs like 10 frames or so. Alright, I'm gonna make a different video for TR and GT, because those need the most attention for most people. So, yeah, I will see you in the next video.